Hello everyone, welcome to Respectful Dave, welcome to this live stream. Hopefully everyone's day has been decent so far. And yeah, I forgot to write down the highlights for the thumbnail, but maybe this is, I don't know, okay. It's irrelevant, I think we'll be able to make this instructive in any way or another. So I'll make sure that everything is working technically before I go into solving the warm-up puzzle, which is nothing compared to what we're going to solve in today's live stream, obviously. The warm-up puzzle is usually rated, less than 2000 at best. So you guys think about that while I make sure everything's working in the technical level. The warm-up puzzle. This is the tough one to mute. Let's see if it works. Wow, it's not working. Excellent news. Oh, it's working now. Wow, it's not working. Okay, it's working now, and I think we should be able to go. So we have two rooks, queen, queen, knight, knight, bishop, knight. And there's our knight on pre on c6. So the question is, which way should we capture? Bishop takes c6, runs into queen takes c8. This is the type of weak pieces we should always be aware of. So rook takes c6 comes to my mind. Rook takes c6, bishop takes c6. Rook takes c6, queen takes c6. We're absolutely winning as we are up a rook, whole rook. And after rook takes c6, bishop takes c6. I don't see anything forcing other than maybe only bishop, queen c8, sorry, check. But then, I mean, the idea obviously is that if king h7, then white is no longer losing a piece. But of course, we're not going to go king h7, we're going to go bishop e8. And then we get to save the piece, right? Because this bishop was on pre, we move it, we're no longer in check, and also we're not losing the bishop. So that's the answer, I am assuming. So let's go rook takes c6, bishop takes c6, and bishop e8. That's it. Nice. So as you can see, actually you can't see, but I could show you. Oh my goodness, I forgot to write down leeches on the title again. I'm a genius. Yeah. Give me a second, it's gonna take 5 seconds. There we go. So now we should be able to be here. Let's check. Let's refresh. I need to update this, by the way. But yeah, as you can see, this player is not currently online. What? Oh, goodness. Sorry about this, guys. It's gonna take 5 seconds. Unless I misspelled leeches, I don't think so. There we go. So as you can see, our rating is very close to 3000. We only need 4 more points, and then we're going to retire. I'm joking. No, we're going to keep going, obviously. And, even if we don't get to 3000 in this stream, which is very unlikely, I think we should be able to. I mean, yeah, as long as we're getting strong puzzles, why would we care, right? But okay, just as an exciting, how do they call that? Milestone? As an exciting milestone. So our rating is 2996. The difficulty level is normal. If, by the way, like many people may wonder about this, you guys may think, why are you mentioning difficulty level? Because if you set the difficulty level at easiest, then it's going to give you 600 points below your actual rating, meaning that, well, how to free your brain. Wow, that's a tough question. I think that's beyond what I can do. If anything, what that reminds me of is how I also want my brain to free up, like to be free. But I think this is because there's so much short content stimulating us these days in social media. So maybe quit social media. That's a generic answer, but this is all I can do. Okay, I'm gonna finally start this. It's been 5 minutes of pure no puzzles. So let's reset the timer. and let's get going. So we have 10 minutes. Let's try our best. So while I was saying stuff, I noticed knight e4 is a candidate move. Obviously, it goes without saying we have equal material, roughly. And I say roughly just because technically white is down a pawn, but they can easily not be down a pawn after the natural b takes a3. Now, before trying the natural b takes a3, it's also worth noting that there's some sort of kingside attack going on, especially because there's this monster bishop in the b1 h7 diagonal. And the queen could come to h5. And black's pieces seem to be quite passive. I mean, 3 of these, the ones I've highlighted, are directly just focused on the queen side, and then these are passive simply. Of course, they're closer to the king side, but they're passive. Okay. So the reason why I'm attracted about knight e4, this is my candidate move so far. Queen h5, g6, and I don't think this is as quick as knight e4, so I wouldn't calculate it yet, at least. And I don't see anything else other than knight e4. Maybe h5, maybe g6, maybe bishop takes h7. Okay, there we go. We have a little bit more of a variety there. So bishop takes h7, that's probably the most forcing move. So I'm going to start with that, despite me giving knight e4 as first. So bishop takes h5, h7, sorry. King takes h7, queen h5 would be my follow-up move. There's also g6, I suppose. But after f takes g6, it doesn't seem like it's working. So queen h5, king g8. And is there anything there? Rook f6, what is that threatening? g6 in a better version? I don't think so. Rook h6, gh is hard to believe. Queen h5, that would be amazing, by the way. Queen h5, g6. So it doesn't work. Queen h5 directly doesn't work. Bishop takes h7, king takes h7, queen h5, king g8. Rook f6. I'm not sure if it works because gf, something like bishop takes f6. Not knight takes f6 because of queen g5, but bishop takes f6 because now we're not in time to take the bishop because queen takes g3 is in the air. That's definitely not working. Oh, maybe it is king h1, but then queen h3, king g1, queen g3 is a repetition. So in short words, bishop h7, king h7, queen h5, king g8. Rook f6 is an idea, but maybe we shouldn't spend all of our time there. g6 is threatening mate in 1 and forces f takes g6. And that's it. After that, it's game over, I think. We don't have enough manpower, as they say. Okay, so let me move on to knight e4. Knight e4 is threatening knight f6. How do I know that? For example, knight e4, a takes b2, which is a very serious move, by the way. Just claiming this is all a bluff and knight e4 is doing nothing. I'm gonna go knight f6, check. If king moves, queen h5, black could resign, I think. Actually, maybe I spoke too soon as usual. Okay, maybe knight e4 is too slow. Let me think here. Let me think. Maybe it's b takes a3, but okay. Because we still have tons of play. By the way, the idea after knight e4, d takes e4 is queen takes e4, threatening both the mate and the rook on a8. And I like the idea of including a piece into the attack. That's why I'm so keen on knight e4. But I am struggling to find the kill after a takes b2. Maybe it's a silent move like rook a e1, simply. But yeah, I want to try make knight f6 work, obviously. That's the direct approach. I mean, I was talking about knight e4, a takes b2, just to kind of knight f6, king h8. I always go for the softest move to see if even after the softest move, we are winning. And yeah, I'm struggling here a little bit. A little bit. 94, 8 takes b2, knight f6, king h8. I mean, that's surely losing. It looks losing, but knight takes h7, there's g6, for instance. Queen h5, there's knight takes f6, which miraculously is holding on. Okay, maybe queen h5, knight takes f6, g takes f6, g6, and then queen h6, rook g8, f takes e7, b takes a1, rook takes a1, and then maybe we're just gonna go bishop f4, bishop g5, bishop f6, and the dark squares are chronically weak, but still it's not incredibly clear. Less than 5 minutes left. Rook takes 7, bishop h7, king h7, queen h5, king g8, rook to 7, rook to 7, g6. Yeah, that's an idea I didn't see. 94, 8 takes b2. Let me just finish this off then. Because now I'm realizing that 94 may not be that work. Now 94, 8 takes b2, knight f6. What happens after the more natural knight takes f6? G takes f6. Okay, it's crazy. Bishop h7, king h7, queen h5, king g8, rook takes f7 is a counter move I didn't even consider, so I already failed this. This is a failure. And yeah, I think this is the answer probably. It looks amazing. But I didn't find it. Bishop h7, king h7, queen h5, king g8, rook takes f7. How did I not think about that? So forced it is to take, because if not, g6 is coming to town. So rook takes f7, black might as well take some material. I mean, obviously rook takes e7, I guess, is also a threat, but okay, g6. g6 is threatening anyone. So rook takes f7, g6. And how on earth does black stop queen h7, queen h8? There's knight f6, but there's e takes f6. I know there's bishop takes f6. I know there's queen takes g3 there. So bishop h7, king h7, queen h5, king g8, rook f7, g6, knight f6, gf7 check, king f8, and then we could go queen h8. I suppose. Because now we're getting tons of material. Yeah. Yep, you guys found it. Whether it was legit or not will always remain a mystery, but I choose to... Okay, I have to be careful here. I choose to live in ignorance, at least for now. But next time, I'm not going to look at the chat. G takes f7, king f8. E takes f6, queen takes g3. Yeah, g takes f7 looks fine. And then queen h8. E takes f6, queen takes g3 continues to be a problem. Wow! I'm terrible. Wow. Queen g6? Well, that's insane. Wow, queen g6, what a move. Hello, Roger. Why is this wrong? I thought this was winning. King g6, wow, okay. Well, apparently this is not winning. Queen g6 would be because it's threatening e takes f6 with tempo now that this is attacking this. And a takes b2, no, rook f1 is working. Although this looks extremely scary. Like after something. But I guess black is not in time. Wow. Wow. Okay, well. There we go. This is a 2904 rated puzzle. By the way, you guys watching this the stream after it's over, whenever you check the chapters and it has the rating of the puzzle which is solved under the name in the same area of the name under parenthesis, it may be different because I found that Lichess changes the puzzle constantly. It's based on the players that solve it. So I'm not lying. It's just it just gets updated. So the number that I give there is the rough approximate, or the number I saw whenever I wrote down the time codes of the stream. But either way, so lesson to be learned here. Yeah, I jumped into this. I mean, it's very easy to jump into this, relax after you find the easier part of a puzzle. And here I just relaxed. I thought, well, we won a rook and we're gonna win another rook. Let's stop evaluating. Let's take it very easily. And I thought I evaluated this in a split of a second in my mind, wrongfully, obviously. And I thought we were absolutely winning. I mean, we're up the exchange. This is pinned, and these pawns are well they're controlled. But it seems that after king g6, it's not obvious. King g2 protecting this bishop, threatening e takes f6. There's knight h5, and it's -3. It's not only that it's equal or anything. It's -3. Like queen g8 threatening queen f7 and queen d8. What is this? By the way, if it's not queen d8, it's already equal, although the engine is changing their mind. But yeah, queen d8 is the clearly winning move. Yeah, it's apparently I know nothing here. Oh, clicked the wrong button. Let's go to the next one. I'm gonna reset the timer. There we go. So white is threatening mate in 1. There's bishop h2 as a counter move. Rook e3 blunders mate in 1. Knight e3 blunders mate in 1. Bishop e5 stops the mate in 1. And has the idea of, I don't know, something like queen d3 maybe. Now we can take on e3. If not queen e1 maybe, because after queen f1 there will be takes, and knight takes e3, taking on g2, then taking on b2, maybe that's winning. Yeah, that's 100% winning, because we're up 1,000 pawns. So bishop e5 becomes my main attraction. Rook e5 is technically also a counter move, but okay. Not as forcing as bishop e5, so I wouldn't calculate it first. And then bishop h2 is in the air as well. So bishop h2 is the most forcing out of them. I'm going to start with that one. So bishop h2, king f1, knight takes e3 comes with check, so we're completely winning. And king h1 is bishop f4, king g1, bishop takes e3 with check. We should be completely winning. So bishop h2, rook takes h2 is the only move. Rook takes h2 is the only move, sorry. And then I suppose queen g3. But then rook g2, and we're forced to take this. If not, we just lost the bishop for nothing. And it's the only way we can move the queen, and it's going to be forcing without blundering. Queen takes e7. So queen takes e3, queen takes e3. And we're simplifying, and we're down a piece. So that doesn't make sense. Bishop h2 doesn't make sense. So next counter move, I think the other counter move we talked about was bishop e5. And then rook e5. So let's start with bishop e5. That's hitting the queen. If something like rook g4, there's queen h2, and then we're taking the queen. If not, something else probably. So rook g4 is a horrible move. Queen c4 is queen c4. Rook takes g7 is bishop takes g7. Bishop e5. Queen e1, queen takes e1. Bishop e5, queen b4. a5. Why a5? Because, yeah, the queen has to keep an eye on e1. If not, queen e1 is going to be mate. So, for example, queen b5 in that scenario would be met with queen e1. So bishop e5 seems to be pretty promising so far. I guess. Is there a crazy move like bishop f2? Bishop f2, bishop c3, bishop h4. Bishop e5, bishop f2 seems like the main concern. Because yeah, I repeat, queen d3, just queen e1, queen takes f1, knight takes e3, and we should be winning. The bishop e5. There's bishop g5 and bishop f2. Those are the two only ways the bishop can attack our queen. Obviously, bishop g5 looks insane. We just take thing with a pawn and we're completely winning. Bishop d4 is a threat in the next move. Should be game over. So bishop e5, bishop f2 is the defensive resource. And this is important. We should already be pretty happy about finding the way white defends this. Bishop c3, bishop h4, I don't see much here. Bishop f2 is very annoying. How do I meet this? Bishop h2, rook h2. That doesn't help. Ah, there's also bishop g3. It's a candidate move. And if queen d4, there's rook takes e3. Or even queen takes d4, because bishop takes d4, rook e1 is mate. So bishop g3, queen d4, queen takes d4 is winning. Bishop g3, we didn't even consider that as a candidate move, but now we're realizing that that we're gaining an important tempo on the bishop. I mean, we're creating the threat of rook takes e3. But isn't that annoying? Bishop e5, bishop f2. There's really nothing against this. That's very annoying. Bishop takes 3, bishop takes h4. Yeah. There's nothing. Bishop f2 is refuting the whole line. So bishop g3. Bishop g3. What if bishop f3, for example? Then we just go knight takes e3, and we should be completely winning. Ah, bishop c5. That's a much better... I know, what am I saying? I'm blundering mate in 1. Wow! Bishop e5, bishop f2, bishop d4. So we use the same idea of bishop c5, but first with bishop e5 to remove the mate. And after bishop f2, we go bishop d4. And what is the idea? That after... Well, first of all, the threat is now... Goodness gracious, what is even the threat? I mean, I'm quite sure there is a threat. But let's say after something like bishop f3... There's... Wow, okay, maybe there's no threat. Maybe I got excited for no reason. But let me just show this, because it's pretty beautiful. Bishop e5, bishop f2, bishop d4. If bishop takes d4, there's rook e1. And we win the queen. And we win the game. Because after king h2, queen h4, we're picking up with the bishop. And we have tons of pawns. So bishop e5, bishop f2, bishop d4. You would think, ah, well, okay, bishop takes d4 blunders to rook e1. Okay, David, let's go for the other capture. Queen takes d4, but then rook e1 either way. Bishop takes e1, queen takes d4. And yeah, I guess it's a little bit complicated. I know it's not. Queen takes b2 and we're winning the rook, thanks to this bishop being very awkwardly placed on d1. So... Bishop e5, bishop f2 maybe... Bishop d4 maybe a super move. But what do we do against a natural neutral developing move, bishop f3? That's the question. That is the question. And I don't think I have anything. Once again, it's been a roller coaster so far. I've been excited for things that were not working. So I'm a little bit out of ideas. I have a minute left. Bishop e5, bishop f2. Bishop d4. What a shame it doesn't work. What a shame. Bishop f3. Anything else other than bishop f3? I mean, it's interesting how I say, okay, let's say white plays a neutral move and then bishop f3 is just... I wanted a neutral, easy to refute move, but actually bishop f3 is not that. It looks neutral, but it's very strong. And by the way, if it's not that, then yeah, you're right. Like, what are we even threatening with bishop d4? Nothing. We're not threatening anything. It's unfortunate. It just looks cute. It looks like we're doing something, but it's nothing. Yep. So bishop g3. I'm going back to bishop g3. But once again, if, let's say, bishop e2 in this case, bishop f3, I guess, is too much because rook takes e3. And then we're taking on f3. So bishop g3. We're threatening rook takes e3. If bishop f2 now, we take, and we go rook e3. And I think white shouldn't be able to... hold on to material anymore. Okay, this is tough. I don't know. I'm confused. No, time is over. Okay, I have to make a move. I'm gonna choose... I don't know the answer. I needed more time, or I failed to find it within the time frame. So I'm gonna say, give me a last chance, guys. Last 30 seconds to make a decision. I'm gonna say... it's tough, but I'm gonna say bishop g3. Wow, it's correct. Bishop c5, rook e1. We have to be careful because we got it wrong last time. Rook e1, queen 61, bishop takes e1, rook g4, hitting the knight and the queen. I suppose we have something like queen. It's tough. So maybe it's not rook e1. I don't know. I was gonna say rook e1, queen 61, bishop h2, but then there's king f1. I mean, that looks too artificial. It shouldn't work. There's no way that works. I'm gonna go rook e1. So rook g4, queen f6. Okay, I calculate something like b5. That's allowing rook e4 apparently. So bishop d2. Wow. What is that? It's threatening queen g5. What about queen takes b2? Bishop d4. So bishop d2. Yeah, we're not even down material technically because we have the 3 pawns. So let me try to clear up some things about that one. I think we did a very good job at not falling in love with the idea. I mean, okay, very good job maybe is putting it a little bit too positively. I'm romanticizing that, but it did take me a while to reject bishop e5 because, I mean, firstly to find bishop f2, which didn't take that long, but wow, rook takes g7, what a way. But bishop f3 is the top end, like the second top engine move, and it's very close. But yeah, it took a while to realize that bishop d4 was actually doing nothing. It's not threatening anything, and that's one of the first questions you should be asking. And yeah, that's the area for improvement, definitely. We're playing bishop d4 and it's doing nothing. It looks like we're doing bishop takes f2 and maybe some rook e1 stuff, but nothing. It only works if white reacts to it. So bishop e5 took ages. It took us ages to prevent this. Sorry, to refute this. And then we found bishop g3, I would say kind of in the middle of the 10 minutes. But then I was struggling to find a way after something like bishop e2. Turns out knight takes e3 is the winning move, and here knight takes e3 is also super winning. Yeah, and we evaluated this. I just started thinking about something like this. And it wasn't obvious, and, you know, like the engine is giving rook e5, which is not obvious either. I guess you're allowed to evaluate in this part of the exercise. So that puzzle was rated. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, there we go. $3,000. That puzzle was rated 3,000. After bishop f3, rook e3. I'm assuming you're talking about wow, rook e3, what a move. I mean, good, well tried. This is the type of thing I should have been trying, but yeah, bishop takes h4 is completely winning for white. Let's go to the next one. I'm gonna reset this. Good luck, everyone. See you in 10 minutes. Okay, weird queen, super weak king in the light squares. Potential sacrifice on h4. And yeah, super weird queen on c5. So this screams bishop takes h4. This is my first candidate move. And other than that, I guess we also have the idea of something like e6, bishop e7, and at some point, maybe not now. This is what I like calling, or what people call hypothetical thinking or speculative thinking. Like you're just picturing some ideas. And rook h4 is another candidate move, obviously. But rook h4, maybe not as... definitely more forcing than bishop h4, I guess. Because the rook is directly attacking the h-file. But after gh, we're only left with a queen and a bishop. I don't think that's enough. Especially because it's a dark squared bishop rather than a light squared bishop. Okay, well, bishop h4, let's get going with calculation. So bishop h4 is threatening bishop g3. For example, bishop h4, a6, very careless, bishop g3. And white can't take with the f-pawn because of queen h2. So we are threatening queen g6. And it just looks horrible, right? We're threatening all sorts of things. We're threatening also to simply drop back and then queen g6 as well. We're threatening queen e4, yeah. So bishop h4, if white doesn't do anything about this, it's game over. Bishop h4, that's a very serious move to take very seriously as white. You have to respond quickly. And one of those moves that come to my mind is making space for your king while attacking the queen. So now I think it's a task of finding the best moves for your opponent. So we have to do the reverse of what we do. Scan the moves but for the opponent. So bishop h4, rook fc1, and then queen e4 looks very natural. What is this threatening? Bishop g3. It's supporting a future rook on h1, that's why queen e4. And the queen on e4 visually looks dominating in the center. So bishop h4, rook fc1 is a candidate move, but I think after queen e4 it looks pretty promising. Bishop h4 after king g2, I guess bishop g3 regardless. Because white still can't take with the f-pawn. This time it's not even legal. And we're threatening the usual stuff of bishop d6 or like queen g6 or queen e4, rook g8, things like that. I can't help it. I think bishop h4 should be... I mean, I don't see anything wrong with this. But we have to find the best defense. We have to find the best defense. What about c4? Bishop g3, cd. And that's already threatening the exchange of queens. Oh, wait a second. What am I saying? Bishop h4, c4. Bishop g3, cd. There's bishop h2, I think. If king h1, bishop d6 is completely winning. We're winning the queen at least. It's probably mate as well. So king g2 is forced. But then we go queen e4. I mean, there are 1,000 ways. Queen g6, I think, is forced mate. King f3 is only move, because king h1 is always getting mated. Queen h5, king g2, because the bishop is doing an amazing job at covering the dark squares, and then queen g4, we force the king to h1, and then bishop d6 is mate. So bishop h4, c4, bishop g3, cd, bishop h2 is completely winning. It's check, check, checkmate, which is pretty nice. You should do that every time you have the chance. So bishop h4, yeah, we're struggling in finding the best defense. I'm quite sure there's something resilient for white. King g2. I already tried this. Bishop g3, rook h1. Ah no, queen f2 is mate. Maybe bishop h4, king g2, bishop g3, king f3. But then queen e4, king e2, and then we did let them escape. But yeah, something like rook f8 maybe. Because every time white takes on g3, everything gets open. Queen g6, rook h8, mate. So rook f8, king g2. White is using this bishop as a shield, but that can't be right. Bishop d6. We move that bishop with tempo. We're going queen g6, rook h8 next. It's bishop h4, I don't see anything. Okay, maybe we should calculate the obvious. I know, what am I saying? Queen g6, and then rook h4. Okay, so rook fc1, maybe this is the murkiest out of all the lines that we've calculated. Let's say we go queen e4. And let's say they go king f1. So we go bishop takes g3. Obviously taking with the f-pawn is only asking for trouble. There's rook h1, rook h2, and queen h1. We can even pre-move that. So bishop h4, rook fc1, queen e4, king f1, bishop g3. What can white do there? King e2, but there's bishop f2. Yeah, that looks amazing. Oh, they do try c4. So pretty proudly, we predicted the best defense. Assuming this is the best defense. And I think we just said bishop g3 because after cd, there's bishop h2. So let's just go through that again. So bishop g3, cd, bishop h2. There are two legal moves for white. King h1 and king g2. King h1 is the easiest to prevent because of bishop d6. And we're at least winning the queen. So bishop g3, cd, bishop h2, king g2. Also, it's just check, checkmate. Queen g6, king f3, queen h5. Ah, but there's king e4. We completely forgot about this. We were visualizing this wrong. Okay, I mean, bishop g3, cd, bishop h2, king g2. There must be 1,000 other ways of winning. 1,000. Okay, bishop g3, cd. We have 3 minutes left. Why am I rushing? Bishop g3, cd. Bishop f2, rook f2, rook g8, king f1, and white survives. So bishop g3, cd. Bishop h2, king g2. Queen g6, king f3, king h5, queen h5, king e4. Pretty amazing that works. The king is escaping. Bishop g3, cd. We have to be careful with the threat of queen c6, queen a8, queen c6, queen a8, and it's a perpetual. So bishop g3, cd. There we go, maybe. Not sure. Bishop g3, cd, wow. Okay, I'm gonna go bishop g3 because intuitively it seems hard to believe that's somehow surviving for white. If there's no mate, then chess is glitched. Bishop g3, cd, bishop h2, king g2. I mean, that bishop g3 must work. Okay, my intuition is still working. Now, maybe this is a little bit more sensitive. So rook h1 is a move that we haven't considered. But after king takes, I don't see any follow-up. I mean, I see queen e4, but after king g1, not f3 because of queen h4 and queen h2, but king g1, we are stuck. So bishop h2, king g2. I'm going back to that. Queen e4, f3. Oh, there we go. Bishop h2, king g2, queen e4, f3, forced move. Queen g6, king f2, forced move. King h1 is always running into mate with bishop d6. And then I go bishop g3, king e2, rook h2. And it's mate. I mean, king d1, queen d3, king c1, queen takes f1 mate. So this is a little trap. Queen e4 is the winning move. And then queen g6, because now there's no king f3 anymore. And this is simply winning. And we are officially rated 3000. Yes. I mean, it doesn't, we were already kind of solving that that level of puzzles. Should we return now? I'm joking. Nice, thanks. Okay, let's keep. Oh goodness gracious, it's almost over. We haven't solved that many. We have 15 minutes left. So h6, g6, h6, knight f6, ab, knight f6, queen h6, queen h3. Okay. So queen h3 is the most appealing so far. But knight f6 ideas I like, because very often black survives by moving this pawn somehow. So knight f6, I like the idea of Just forcing bishop f6. Now I do have to be careful with going queen h3 because all of a sudden sometimes there's some idea with bishop h6 potentially, which after king b1, a takes b3, b takes c2 check would come with the check, right? As opposed to having the king on c1 where a takes b3, b takes c2 is not a check, therefore less forced. Hence, we may get the chance of delivering mate ourselves. Because, yeah, these are positions are so dynamic that one tempo can make the whole difference. Anyhow, h takes g6 I think is probably the most forcing move I can start with. So I'm gonna start with h takes g6. Now, right off the bat, I noticed that f takes g6 is very annoying. Very annoying, sorry. Unless rook takes h7 works. But rook takes h7, a takes b3, that starts to be a little bit. I don't see that working anymore. Okay, wait a second. Let's start with h6 because after a takes b3, there's h takes g7, and it could be one of those positions where we're actually just winning material. So h6 bishop e5, I suppose, because a takes b3, h takes g7. King takes queen h6 is game over, and we're just winning the rook. So h6 bishop e5. And maybe there's something there. Okay, I don't see anything. I'm gonna go back to the knight f6, bishop f6. hg now. ab. Queen h6 is game over. Unless black has some sort of series of checks. But it looks like game over. I mean, maybe knight f6, bishop f6, hg6, ab3, queen h6, bishop g5 to distract the queen, queen to g5. Now we're threatening g takes f7. So let's say f takes g6. Okay, let's go through that again. Bishop f6, knight f6, bishop f6, h takes g6. Now, by the way, if f takes g6, I think we have bishop e6. And the difference before is that after h takes g6, f takes g6, knight f6, black doesn't have to take with the bishop, but now we're with the rook. Okay. Yeah, this is so far a little unclear. So far a little bit unclear, this. So far a little bit unclear. Wow. Maybe no. I saw h6, bishop h8 is another kind of move, but let's say bishop e5, I have rook h5. And now the idea is that after queen g5, by the way, f6 is very annoying, so that's why rook h5. Rook h5, f6, I have rook takes e5, f takes e5, and I achieved nothing. Never mind, never mind. H takes g6, f takes g6, queen h3. A takes b3 because we were threatening bishop e6 and queen h7 stuff. So, for example, if queen after queen h3 they go h6, I suppose bishop e6 is very good because then we're taking on b4. Okay, I'm navigating a little bit chaotically in this one. I'm navigating this position a little bit chaotically. H takes g6, knight f6. Hmm. Knight f6, bishop f6. H takes g6. Let's say a takes b3, just to give us a chance. Queen h6 is not that clean somehow. Because of bishop g5. Queen takes g5. F takes g6. Yeah, that's not clean. None of this is working. I'm gonna go back to h6, although I don't want to, but... Okay, first of all, let me see if I can clean this up. Bishop h8, is there any way I can find a mate there? For example, if my queen was already on f4, knight f6 would be completely the game over, because it forces bishop f6, queen f6, and queen g7, game over. So I wish h6, bishop h8, I wish my queen was already there. How can we force that? I don't think I can. Two minutes left. Hg6, fg6. Hg6, fg6. Rook h7, a takes b3. Rook takes, king takes. Queen c3, e5. And I can resign already. Knight f6, bishop f6, hg. What was the problem with this? AB. I think AB. Although there's probably something else. But AB suffices. Suffices. Knight f6, bishop f6. HG, AB. I have nothing. How can I have nothing here? How is that possible? Wow. I don't see anything. Nothing works. I'll just keep trying, but and then time is over. I was calculating king g2, queen e4 in the last puzzle, yeah. King g2, queen e4, rook g8. Yeah, yeah. It's this, yeah, because white took on d5. I hung that once as well. Sorry. Okay, time is over. I have no idea. So we're gonna get this one wrong. I'm gonna make a move because that's what would happen in a real game. Assuming you had 10 minutes left, I would have already lost in time, in fact. So I'm privileged in that sense. So I'm gonna go. It's insane. I have no idea. I really don't know. Yeah, h6. Yeah, I just like the idea of kind of creating this blockade, but it's wrong. Wow. Okay, sorry about this. Obviously, I don't do that. I usually don't do that, but time is over, so I'm trying. Okay, what can it be then? Knight f6, rook takes f6. No. Knight g5. Have I tried that? Or I think I already tried. Bishop e6, queen e6. I don't see the point. Knight d6. Oof. That's insane. That's insane. Who do they think I am? This is insane stuff. But I guess it makes sense. So we went h6, g6, and this is actually the first move that we calculated. We didn't even talk through h6, b3. Oof, this is also very close. You either find queen h3 or you lose as white. So yeah, this is not obvious. I was postponing this, but we never got to it. We never got to talk about that because I didn't even refute f takes g6, which I thought would have been the easier one to refute. But okay, a takes b3. There's queen h3, threatening mate. And if this, it just takes. Okay. Oof. Okay, queen g7 also works. Yeah, let's be happy with this. Rook d7. This is more than enough to go to the next line. So h6 is the best move. But then knight f6 and queen h6. But yeah, there's a lot of this is pretty delicate. A lot of these lines are kind of in the edge, and evaluating, for instance, this position is not obvious. Like we're technically down a knight and our king is getting attacked, and there's some checks around the king. Yet queen h4 is just winning, so it's insane. Why is queen h4 and not queen h6, by the way? Because on knight e2, king b1, bc2, king c2. Okay, wait a second. So what's the difference? So now the difference is that we take here. Okay, wait a second. Let's go back to queen h6. There's queen e7. There's queen e7. Okay, that's... Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Although queen h6 is also winning. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you could evaluate this as probably winning. Emphasis on probably, because yeah. For example, knight d5. Okay, what am I saying? Yeah, queen h7 is mate. Queen h4 is just designed to stop queen e7. So even that was a difficult line to refute. h6, g6 is probably the easiest, because we simply go queen h3. Yeah, there's tricks like this that make it easy to move on. So yeah, h6, g6 threatens queen h3. And that's what I guess I was failing to see, queen h3 being the main threat of the position. And if a takes b3, there's queen h3 regardless. Oh no, so sorry, f takes g6. This is... There's knight d6, and that's insane. So I get that after king h8, there's this typical pattern where it's mate. But yeah, I mean, rook f7, queen h3, h6. Okay. And we're winning. And if king f8, we simply take now. And we destroyed black's position. Yep. Okay, well, oh, this is so unsatisfying. We just crossed the 1 hour time, but unfortunately we're 29.99. So I guess we're not 3,000 anymore. Either way, thank you everyone. Hopefully that was useful to some extent. I'll be writing down the time codes right now. And yeah, see you around. Have a good day.